Now, the Prime Minister is set to announce the date of the Voice to Parliament referendum next week, but the head of the Australian Electoral Commission has caused major confusion this week, that's what some are saying, by suggesting ticks will be counted as a yes vote. But if you put a cross, that will not count for a no vote. Now, the AEC has rebuked these claims that it will favour the Yes campaign. They were pretty strong in this, saying there is a long-standing legal advice regarding the use of ticks and crosses for referendums. Joining me now from the Swan Valley in WA is Nationals Deputy Leader Perin Davey. Perin, thank you so much for joining me. Is this a big deal?
Look, it is a big deal. It's absolutely a big deal. And if it's long-standing legal advice, go back and get a second opinion. The fact of the matter is, if you're not going to accept, if you're going to accept a mark on a page for one side, then why isn't the mark on the page, the opposite mark on the page, going to represent the other side? You either say it's got to be the word yes or no, or you say, we'll accept yes, we'll accept no, we'll accept a tick for yes and a cross for no. You don't say, well, we'll accept the words yes or no and an ambiguous mark for one team and the other side will just be an invalid vote. They're either invalid marks on a page and we'll accept the words, or you actually have it so that a tick is a yes and a cross is a no. It is a big deal, and go back and get a second opinion.
What do you think about the ABC? It's come to light that management and journalist Lee Sales have instructed staff at the public broadcaster that the Uluru Statement from the Heart is only a one-page document, and it's given their staff tactics on essentially how to quash any arguments contrary to this. Media Watch, as we know, determined that it was contested, not false. So how can the ABC direct their journalists to basically take one side and tell them to do so?
Well, and actually they're instructing their journalists how to belittle and how to sort of cut off their interview subjects, which I would sort of suggest is not necessarily the best journalism. The fact is it is contested amongst yes proponents as well. We've had yes proponents say, go out and read the full document, read all the sort of 18 pages according to Megan Davis, and others have said read the full 26 pages. Yes, the Uluru Statement from the Heart glossy brochure is the one-page poster, but that is backed up by the rest of the documents that the National Indigenous Affairs Agency, the NIAA, have come out under Freedom of Information and said this is the Uluru Statement of the Heart. It is all the backup documentation that outlines the arguments for the one-page overview. It's like any government policy document. You get a one-page overview, but that is not the policy. The policy is then backed up by all the work, all the consultations, everything that's gone behind it. So I think this is incredible by the ABC to absolutely try and discredit all those consultations. That's what they're effectively saying. The policy document that underpins the poster is irrelevant.
It doesn't matter what side of this you're on, what you believe. I've been a journalist for nearly 20 years. I'm getting old now, but there have been a lot of controversial topics in this country that journos have had to cover. I can't remember ever being given a directive on A, something like this that's contested, and B, telling me how to shut someone down who might say something like this. I just think that is bizarre. But anyway, let's move on to Qantas. They've announced a record profit, $2.5 billion. Huge numbers, but really it's all at the expense of us customers paying higher prices for flights. Qantas has said that airfares will continue to fall, but, not quick enough for most of us. I see that Virgin, a video has been leaked today, just before I came on air, from Jane Herdlicker, their CEO, saying that the rejection of Qatar, which we'll get to in a second, has contributed to that as well. But what do you think?
Oh, look, I flew over to beautiful Swan Valley, absolutely gorgeous part of Australia here in Western Australia. My flight was cancelled. So the Qantas flight was cancelled yesterday, and unfortunately, when you don't live in a capital city, inevitably you're halfway to the airport when you get alerted that your flight's cancelled, and you just have to hope and cross your fingers that by the time you get to the airport, they've actually found you an alternative flight, which, thank you, Qantas, they did. But I hear time and time again, once upon a time, Qantas was the one airline you could absolutely rely on. They'd never cancel flights. They'd always be on time. They were safe, secure. And time again now we're hearing about cancellations. We're hearing about delays. We're hearing about lack of staff. You know, if they put off 10,000 staff during COVID. They clearly haven't re-employed them all and all that they need to service their flights. And maybe instead of recording record profits and having Alan Joyce go out on a swan song, maybe they should actually look at recruiting back some of those staff so they can fill the flights and actually get people to where they want to go on time.
Yeah, I note Jim Chalmers today said they shouldn't have to pay their money back. That's a whole other kettle of fish, that the COVID money that they got. I just want to ask you on the Qatar Airways not being able to increase their flight routes here. Do you think that was the wrong decision? I see that Virgin, she's also come out, heard liquor and said that was the wrong decision and it's contributing to an increase in fares.
Well, it's not just Virgin who've come out. Like, the Australian tourism industry has estimated that they have actually foregone about $800 million per annum in lost opportunity by this decision that the government has not managed to explain consistently as to why they made the decision to block these extra flights. I can't understand it myself. I don't see any national reasoning for it other than it's inconvenient for other players existing in the market. But when you've got Qantas out there saying, we welcome the competition, and if you're a good and quality airline, you should also welcome the competition in the market and prove your guts by actually saying, we will compete in a fair marketplace.
God, wouldn't that be nice to have airlines actually having to lift their game and serve us? God, I couldn't imagine. Perin Davey, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy that beautiful Western Australian sun over there. It looks lovely.
They have put the weather on for me and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.